Apparently, there's a WNBA player named A'ja Wilson. Apparently, she's pretty good. Caitlin Clark brings it down, goes twice between her legs, step back jack. A'ja Wilson doesn't like that. A'ja Wilson isn't smart enough to understand that everybody's going to get fat because of Caitlin Clark. Everybody won't get fat if they keep bringing up the ridiculous, idiotic, and tired old notion of racism. A'ja.
The WNBA has seen its fair share of dominant players, MVPs, champions, and all-time greats. But what happens when a rookie walks into the league and changes everything overnight? Enter Caitlin Clark. Clark isn't just another rookie. She's a phenomenon, a superstar before even playing a single WNBA game. The moment she was drafted by the Indiana Fever, everything changed. A team that was barely relevant a year ago is now the most talked about franchise in women's basketball. Every Fever home game is sold out. Ticket prices on the secondary market are skyrocketing. Primetime broadcasts, celebrity appearances, and record-breaking viewership, all because of one player. And while Indiana Fever games are the hottest ticket in town, the reigning WNBA champions, the Las Vegas Aces, are watching their ticket prices drop to as low as $19. That's less than the cost of a fast food meal. And for their star, A'ja Wilson, it's a tough pill to swallow. A'ja Wilson is no ordinary player. She's a two-time WNBA MVP, a multiple-time champion, and the leader of the Aces. By all accounts, she should be the face of the league. But despite her accolades, she never managed to bring in the kind of attention that Caitlin Clark has in just a few months. Clark's impact goes beyond stats or trophies. It's about star power. Fans want to watch her.
West Des Moines, Iowa, the reigning WNBA rookie of all time, number 22, Caitlin Clark!
Fans want to watch her. The casual sports fan, NBA audiences, young kids looking for a basketball idol, they all see Caitlin Clark as the must-watch player. She plays fast. She shoots deep threes. She has insane court vision and charisma that electrifies arenas. She's not just a great basketball player, she's a show. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson, despite all her success, never had that crossover appeal. And now, she's watching as a rookie takes the league by storm, leaving her and the Aces in the shadows. Wilson isn't hiding her frustration. She's taken subtle shots at the Caitlin Clark hype in interviews. She's spoken about race playing a role in the attention Clark receives, and while that's a discussion some are willing to have, the reality is this: it's not about race, it's about who fans want to see. If it were just about race, why didn't other great black players in the WNBA, past or present, bring in this level of interest? Why do fans of all backgrounds, including NBA fans, flock to watch Steph Curry, a black athlete, dominate the game in a way similar to Clark? The answer is simple: excitement sells. And Caitlin Clark is the most exciting player women's basketball has seen in decades. The Las Vegas Aces were supposed to be the powerhouse of the WNBA, a dominant force with a stacked roster. Yet despite their success, they never commanded the kind of national attention that the Fever do now. Wilson and the Aces are still winning games. They might win more titles. But if their tickets are going for $19 while Indiana Fever games sell out for hundreds of dollars, what does it all mean? The WNBA has been begging for people to care for years. They've tried marketing, media pushes, and everything in between, but nothing worked until Caitlin Clark arrived. And now, the entire sports world is paying attention. Not just longtime WNBA fans, but new fans, NBA fans, casual sports fans, international audiences. Everyone is watching, looking for rivalries, drama, and storylines. And the biggest beneficiary of this new era, ironically, it's A'ja Wilson. Clark's presence is elevating the entire WNBA. More eyes on the league mean more eyes on Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and other stars. But instead of embracing it, Wilson seems bitter that Clark is getting all the shine. Even Wilson's longtime friend and former Aces teammate Sydney Colson has moved on. Now playing for the Fever, Colson is thriving in an electric atmosphere with packed arenas and history-making moments. Players want to be where the fans are. They want to be part of something bigger than just basketball. And right now, that energy only exists in Indiana. At this point, Wilson can keep winning MVPs. She can dominate the WNBA. She can add more championships to her resume. But in terms of attention, it might not matter because the fans have made their choice. Caitlin Clark is the future. She's the reason people care. She's the reason this conversation is even happening. And no matter how much A'ja Wilson complains, No matter how hard she tries to insert herself into the storyline, it won't change a thing. Clark's fans are here for her. Wilson might be frustrated, but do you blame her? If a rookie came into your league...
By Boston. Wheeler finds Clark from the logo. 13 shooting.
And 12 assists now for Seattle.
Clark answers, and that.
This is on your team, not the other. Of course, Doctor. Together, 3, 1, 2, 3.
A rookie came into your league and completely overshadowed everything you've worked for? Wouldn't you be upset? Aja Wilson isn't just frustrated because Caitlin Clark is getting attention. She's frustrated because, for the first time in her career, she realizes that all of her accomplishments haven't translated to widespread mainstream appeal. And that's a tough realization for any athlete who has dedicated years to dominating their sport. Why is Aja Wilson frustrated? Think about it. Wilson has done everything the WNBA asked of its superstars. She's won 2 MVP awards. She's led the Las Vegas Aces to multiple championships. She's been the face of the league's marketing campaigns. She's put up historic numbers and been a consistent force on the court. And yet, despite all of this, her games still struggle to fill seats. Her team's tickets are still cheap, and casual sports fans barely mention her name. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark hasn't even played a full season, and she's already sold out arenas across the country. She's breaking merchandise records, bringing in celebrities, and drawing millions of new viewers to the WNBA. For Wilson, that's infuriating. She's put in the work, won the accolades, and done everything right. So why is she being overshadowed by someone who hasn't proven anything at the pro level yet? This isn't just about basketball. It's about recognition. It's about feeling like you've built something, only to watch someone else walk in and take all the credit. The reason Clark is getting this level of attention isn't complicated. She's simply more entertaining to watch. She plays a fast, high-scoring style of basketball. She shoots deep threes from the logo, making highlight reel plays every night. She has elite court vision, throwing jaw-dropping assists that go viral. She brings an energy and charisma that electrifies crowds. Fans don't just watch her because she's good. They watch because she makes the game exciting. That's the same reason Steph Curry became a global icon in the NBA. It's not just about stats. It's about style and spectacle. And that's something Wilson, despite her dominance, has never had. The harsh reality: some players are just more marketable. This isn't about race. It's about relatability and entertainment. Some players naturally have a bigger presence than others. Tim Duncan won 5 championships but never had mainstream popularity. Shaquille O'Neal won fewer rings than Duncan but became a massive celebrity. LeBron James and Michael Jordan were more than just great players. They were icons. The same thing is happening in the WNBA. Wilson is like Tim Duncan, dominant but not electrifying. Clark is like Curry or Jordan, she's must-watch TV. And unfortunately for Wilson, you can't force star power. Either fans gravitate toward you or they don't. Why Wilson's frustration is only going to get worse. Wilson's real problem isn't that Clark is getting attention now. It's that this is just the beginning. Clark will continue to improve. She's a generational talent who will likely get better as she adjusts to the WNBA. More sponsorships and endorsements will roll in. Major brands will keep pushing Clark as the face of women's basketball. The Fever will remain the most talked about team, and even players on other teams will benefit from playing against Clark. No matter what Wilson does, she can't stop the Caitlin Clark wave. Her championships, her MVPs, none of it will matter as much if the fans don't care. And right now, all the fans care about is Caitlin Clark. So what can Wilson do? She can either embrace this new era and accept that Clark is elevating the entire WNBA, including her own brand, or she can keep complaining and watch the gap between their popularity grow even wider. Either way, one thing is certain. Caitlin Clark isn't just the future of the WNBA, she's already running it. A'ja Wilson's frustration isn't just about Caitlin Clark getting attention, it's about what that attention represents. For years, Wilson was positioned as the face of the WNBA. She dominated the league, won MVPs, and led the Las Vegas Aces to championships. She did everything a star player was supposed to do. And yet, in just a few months, Caitlin Clark has generated more excitement, ticket sales, and viewership than Wilson has in her entire career. That's the painful reality Wilson is facing. A'ja Wilson followed the blueprint, but it didn't work. Wilson's career trajectory is what you'd expect from a superstar in any professional league. She was the #1 pick in the 2018 WNBA draft. She became the franchise player for the Aces. She won 2 MVPs, 2020-2022. She led Las Vegas to back-to-back championships, 2022-2023. She consistently put up elite numbers. That should have been enough to make her a household name. That should have led to increased viewership, sold-out arenas, and massive endorsement deals. But it didn't. Instead, even at her peak, Aces games were far from sellouts. WNBA ratings remained stagnant. Interest in the league didn't explode. Then Caitlin Clark arrived, and suddenly, everything changed overnight. Wilson is realizing that all the hard work, all the accolades, never really moved the needle for the league the way Clark has in just a few months. That's a tough pill to swallow. Why is Caitlin Clark getting all the attention? It's not about who's won more championships or who has more MVPs. It's about who fans want to watch. Caitlin Clark plays in a way that naturally attracts viewers. She shoots deep threes from the logo like Stephen Curry. She makes flashy, no-look passes. She plays with energy, passion, and confidence. She has a massive built-in fan base from her historic college career at Iowa. Wilson, on the other hand, is a dominant force in the paint, a powerful, efficient player. But dominance alone doesn't always translate to marketability. Tim Duncan won 5 championships and was one of the greatest power forwards ever. But he wasn't marketable. Meanwhile, Steph Curry changed the game, became a cultural phenomenon, and drew millions of casual fans. Wilson is in a similar situation. She's respected, but she's not must-watch TV like Caitlin Clark. Before Clark was drafted, Indiana Fever tickets were an afterthought. The team had been struggling for years. Now, every single Fever home game is sold out. Secondary market tickets are reselling for hundreds of dollars. Their games are being broadcast in prime time. Celebrities are showing up to watch them play. Meanwhile, Wilson's Las Vegas Aces, a team that has won back-to-back championships, is struggling to sell tickets for $19. This is what frustrates Wilson the most. How can a 2-time MVP and champion be playing in half-empty arenas while a rookie is filling stadiums and drawing millions of new viewers? Some fans, and even Wilson herself, have suggested that part of Clark's popularity is because she's white. Wilson has publicly spoken about race in the WNBA, saying that it really is about black versus white when it comes to marketing and recognition. But is that the real reason Clark is outshining her? Not necessarily. The truth is, it's always been this way in sports. Some players have that extra appeal that attracts fans, regardless of race. Michael Jordan was more popular than Hakeem Olajuwon, despite both being dominant. Shaq was a global icon, while Tim Duncan, a quieter and equally great player, never reached that level of fame. Steph Curry, a light-skinned black player, is beloved in part because of his electrifying play style, not his race. If race were the only factor, Wilson's Aces, who are winning at the highest level, should have been pulling in huge numbers before Clark arrived. But they weren't. The difference isn't about race, it's about style, excitement, and entertainment value. The harsh reality, Clark is elevating the WNBA more than Wilson ever did. The WNBA has been trying to grow for years. They've marketed star players like Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and Candace Parker, but none of them had the impact Caitlin Clark is having. Clark has brought in new fans from the NBA crowd, casual sports fans, and even people who never watched women's basketball before. She's made WNBA games must-watch events, and A'ja Wilson benefits from that. Even if Clark is getting all the headlines, she's lifting the entire league, which means higher salaries for all players, more TV deals and sponsorships, increased attendance across all teams. But Wilson doesn't see it that way. She sees it as her league getting taken over by a rookie. Wilson's biggest fear, Clark's popularity is only growing. The most frustrating part for Wilson, this is just the beginning. Clark isn't even in her prime yet. She's only going to get better as she adjusts to the WNBA. She'll likely win multiple MVPs and championships in the future. Her fan base will continue to grow. Wilson is already struggling with being overshadowed, but imagine how she'll feel in 2-3 years when Clark has completely taken over the league. No matter how many MVPs Wilson wins, no matter how dominant she is, the spotlight belongs to Caitlin Clark now. The bottom line, Wilson has two choices. Embrace the Caitlin Clark effect and recognize that Clark's presence is good for everyone in the WNBA, including herself. Keep complaining and risk looking bitter as Clark continues to elevate the league with or without her support. Either way, Clark is the future of the WNBA. And the more Wilson fights it, the more obvious it becomes. This is Caitlin Clark's world now, and Wilson is just living in it.